In today's highly opinionated and possibly controversial episode, I want to talk about things that are not helpful to techs in e-discovery. Now, we could be talking about tech support people, assistant project managers, anyone who does all the technical work. Wow, I'm out of shade. Stairs is kicking my butt. So I want to talk about things that are not helpful to them, and they haven't been helpful to me in my previous job experience. So let's find some scenic locations and talk about that. Let's do it. So let's start with the most controversial thing I got, and it is deadlines. Deadlines are rarely helpful. The only time deadlines are helpful is, let's say you have like 10 jobs and you got to do processing, right? You have 10 processing jobs and you need to figure out in which priority to queue them up and check up on them. In that case, you can rearrange those jobs and put them in an order that helps you accommodate the requested by or deadline time when project manager or client needs their data. Every other time, deadlines are not helpful. And I know people are gonna say there are court-mandated deadlines when you have to create a production and this data has to be turned over and there is an agreement and this and that. But in my experience, all those deadlines can change. They're all soft deadlines. I had a situation where a client would just yell and scream, "We have to get this data done. Okay, we're sending you this saved search. You have to produce by midnight. It's got to be done on the dot, not 1 minute after." And there's the whole panic setup. And so I get the data, I start looking at it like, all right, let's get production done. And the project manager is looking at it with me, and we'll look at it and like, look, there are documents marked to be redacted, but not a single redaction to be found. There are coding conflicts, there's this problem, there's that problem. So we get a client back on the phone and it's like, hey, there are problems here. They're like, what problems? We gotta produce, we gotta get it done. So we do screen share, we show it to them. We're like, okay, look, here's the problem 1, here's problem 2, here's problem 3. Okay, what should we do about them? And they're like, oh, well, I guess we can't produce tonight. We're gonna have to produce this tomorrow. Oh, well, thank you. All the yelling and screaming you were doing about this unmovable deadline, suddenly it moved. And again, this is just one example of this. I had this happen a number of times where these immovable deadlines suddenly move. Now, the other reason deadlines are not helpful is because a lot of tasks we do, well, we don't have a control of how long they will take. In fact, more things in e-discovery now rely on computer time. As we put our data into cloud systems, our techs and our IT has no control over how fast certain things are going to work. You rely on cloud provider, hosting provider, or on that system to do something. And if you are in the production, it's going to run, it's going to take what it's going to take. And same thing with cell phone collection. You don't know how big somebody's phone is going to be. So somebody could be yelling like, well, I need a full image of this iPhone and I need it in 3 hours because this is so-and-so important person. They only can give you 3 hours to collect. But if it's a 512 gigabyte iPhone and it's full of pictures and you're asking for a complete image, well, that's going to take a while. Whatever that's going to take over USB 2.0, that's what it's going to take. So deadlines in that case aren't helpful either. And the second thing that's not helpful is priority jobs that are set incorrectly. A lot of times I see where project managers may have like 5 jobs and they're gonna say, well, these are all high priority jobs. So when they have to prioritize them, like low, medium, high, I'll make them all high priority. And that is something that completely not helpful to tech people. The reason for that is when all jobs have the same priority, it doesn't matter what priority it is. Just because you make job from low priority to high priority doesn't mean it'll get done faster. What we're talking about, how do we prioritize jobs between themselves? So in order for priorities to work correctly, you have to have high priority jobs, medium, and low priority. If everything is a high priority, it doesn't matter. It might as well be low priority. So please consider that when you prioritize in different projects. Different project managers should talk to another, figure out which job is truly higher priority than the other, and then prioritize them. Just because job is medium doesn't mean it's not going to be worked on. Again, if all jobs are high priority, they might as well be all low priority. There is no difference between them to a tech person. What we're really trying to do is figure out which job to jump on first, second, and third. So the third thing that's not helpful to me personally is when project manager tries to buy time for a deadline for the time when tech isn't actually on. Let me explain what happened to me. So I'm working on this project and I'm in the office late, project manager here with me. We're trying to, get this production done. There are like problems all over the place. We're trying to redo things and match things, and things aren't working out. It's a project, it's like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., I don't know, late. So project manager goes away to his room, gets on the phone, talks to somebody, and comes back a few minutes later, goes, "Great news, Nikolai, great news." I'm like, "Yeah, what's the great news?" Like, "I got more time, I got more time." I'm like, "All right, what's the time?" He's like, "We don't have to get this production done today." I'm like, "Great. We just need to get it to a client first thing in the morning." I don't think I have to upset to you that that was totally not helpful to me, because there was no one else in the office after me, and I'm the next person for the morning shift. So buying more time until tomorrow morning does absolutely nothing for me. So whenever you're figuring out deadlines, you need to consider, people when they're working and what kind of staffing you have in your place, and don't just assume that person is going to work through the night. It's going to make them happier, because in that particular example it made absolutely no difference. I have to try it. Nope, that's pretty sturdy here. All right, so that concludes my list of things that I find not helpful to techs in e-discovery. If you got things to add, please put them in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you next time.